Hello elephants and welcome. Today we're going to go over our new mod Arcane Relay, which is a Hytale logic mod. So we add logic and automation to Hytale. If this is something that interests you, please stick around. We're going to be going over the 5 things that we add, as well as how to use it. So we're going to go over the button, the pusher, which is this one, the relay, and then the toggle relay, as well as what sort of stuff you can make with it, and how to wire things up. Without further ado, let's start with the recipes. So, in order to craft the new elements in survival, you'll want to head over to the Arcanist workbench. If you open this one, you'll notice that at the very top we have a new tab. If you click here, it's called Artifacts, and this is where all of our mod items are. Okay, so right now we only have 5 new items, but we plan on keep adding stuff. So if at any point there's too much, we'll probably add our own crafting bench station for it. But as of now, all recipes are in here. You'll notice that everything uses cyan crystals. So we've also added a recipe for cyan crystals to make your life easier. All you need to do is grab any other type of crystal and SSFIs, and you're free to craft a cyan crystal. With that said, the first item that you'll want to craft, and the most important one for our mod, is the Arcane Staff. The Arcane Staff is responsible for creating all connections between components. So this is almost like redstone dust, you could say. Without this, you can't do nothing. So let's craft one. So now that we have our Arcane Staff, let's head over and learn our first component, which is the button. So we'll start nice and simple. The button can be placed on the floor, on walls, even on the roof. So you can choose wherever you want to place it. And then we gotta connect it to stuff. But you might be asking yourself, what can I connect the button to? So right now there's obviously lamps, there's doors, there's trapdoors, and the answer is you can connect it to all of the above. So if you grab yourself the Arcane Staff, on the left side you'll see a little help menu, which will help you figure out how this works. But essentially all you need to do is right click to set a source block. This needs to be one of the 5 blocks here, or 3 blocks here actually, just the button, the relay, and the toggle relay. And once you select it, you'll see you get a little message on the bottom right that says trigger has been selected. If you try selecting something that's not a trigger, we actually let you know that it's invalid, so you can know that you're selecting something properly. Once you have a trigger selected, you can select outputs or destinations. So now if I left click, you'll see that it adds an arrow. So this has been connected to the button now. If I click this, you'll see that this turns off. If I click it again, you'll see that it turns on again. And I'm not limited to only one connection. So while this is selected, I can connect another lamp, I could connect our door, or I could connect our trapdoor. The only limitation is that the things I'm connecting to the button need to be 10 blocks or closer. So now if I click the button, you'll see that everything opens, or everything triggers in this case. And I can do it multiple times and it just works. So with that, let's go to the pusher, which is over here. So the pusher is our version of the piston, except it works differently. It doesn't push forwards, it pushes sideways. As you can see, when I click on it, it moves this way, like to the left. So if I put a block on top, you'll notice that it pushes the block to the left. And I can put multiples and they'll all get pushed left. Obviously, if I move this around, so say I place it looking forwards, now when I press this, my block is going to move forwards. If I do it sideways, then it'll move that way. And yeah, all different directions. You get a preview of the block whenever you're placing it, and it gets placed towards that direction that you're facing. And on top of that, you're also free to place them on walls. So you can place them facing up, or you can place them facing down. And you can see there's arrows in the design. So right here, there's arrows pointing up, and here there's arrows pointing down. And on top of that, on the side, there's tiny arrows here that point in the direction of the movement, in case you can't see the top of it. And you can also actually put them on the roof, also in all types of directions. So they work the same way. You can just put blocks there, and when triggered, they'll move in the direction that you've specified. So that's all neat. And most importantly of all, is you notice it has an F to interact. And if you can interact with it, so can our system. So if you place a button and connect the pusher, you can trigger it remotely. So anyways, that's the pusher. On to the next item. So right here on our left, we have the relay block. So the relay block is actually very similar to the button, in where all it really does is it sends a signal. So for example, I could connect this relay right here to this lamp, and then if I trigger this, the lamp will turn off. If I trigger it on, it'll turn back on. What I can do though with relays is I can connect multiple of them. For example, I could connect these three. And now if I start all the way to the left, what will happen is the signal gets sent to this one, then this one will send the signal to this one, and this one will send the signal to this one. So that's the logic system in Arcane Relay. Really, all we're doing is propagating a signal from one point to the next to the next. And every time we send a signal, there's a small delay, which is technically an arcane tick, what we're calling an arcane tick. But this is how it works. So yeah, if I trigger this, you'll notice that triggers, and that triggers. If I go over here, you can notice they're all triggering in a row. And technically, this is also possible with buttons. Like I could connect one button to another button, and then that button to the Arcane Relay. And if I trigger this, the chain's gonna go all the way down. So there you can see that they all trigger. So yeah, it's not limited to relays. Another thing that's different about the relay and the button is that the relay is a block. So this can actually be moved. You notice I placed this one on top of the pusher. So if I move this block forwards, and note that this one is already connected to this relay. So if I move this forwards, the connection actually stays. So now you can see this one's still pointing at this. So now if I move this block, our little circuit still works, which is nice. Another thing you can do is clocks. So for example, this one's pointing to this one, but I can make this one point back to this one. So now when I start the signal with this one, it's going to start jumping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And every time this one gets the signal, it will power this one. So you'll notice it starts going, and every time this one sends a signal, it's sending it to this and that, which is why our light is flashing. If we want to turn this off without destroying our entire block, because if you physically destroy the block, it will remove all connections. What you can do instead is crouch and then press F. This will open a connection menu, and in here you can remove the connections that you do not want. So in this case, let's remove the relay to get rid of the clock. If we want to get rid of all connections, you're free to click clear all, or yeah, you can manually remove them. One more thing to note is that this menu is not unique to the Arcane Relay, but it actually works on buttons and on the toggle relay as well, which is where we're gonna go next. So the toggle relay. How is this different from a relay? And to answer that, I'm actually gonna do a small demonstration. Let's start by hooking up the toggle relay to this lamp over here. So now whenever this sends a signal, we're expecting this lamp to turn off or on if it's off already. Now you'll notice it's shining right now. If we click it, the lamp turns off, but so did the light. So the toggle relay actually has two different states. One of them has the gem shining and the other one does not. When the gem is shining, it will send over the signal to the next item. When the gem is off, it will instead eat the signal. So you'll notice I interacted with it there, but the signal was not sent. So now if I interact with it again, the signal will be sent. So the reason it's called a toggle relay is because it toggles between sending a signal and between not sending it. So you'll notice here I need to click twice in order for the lamp to change states. Anyways, you might be asking, okay, that's kind of weird. What is this useful for? And I actually have an example right here on the left. So this one's a little bit more complicated. It's already a good circuit just to kind of showcase what type of stuff you can build using the Arcane Relay system. So in this case, we're going to make it so that the torch on the top only gets triggered once, and then the torch on the button gets triggered. But every time we click the button, we want to toggle between these two. So one click should be the top torch, one click should be the bottom torch, never at the same time. And what this circuit's meant to do is these torches could technically be replaced with any other circuit. So for example, this one up here could represent the open door circuit, and this one down here could represent the closed door circuit. So when you click this button, what you're saying is open the door, but then next time I click this button, I don't want it to open the door again because it's already open. I want it to close. So let's do that right now. Let's connect the button to both relays, and then this relay to the torch, and the top relay to this torch. And then the most important step is we need to toggle one of the relays off. So this way, having them in different states will guarantee that when we click this button, these two will switch and only one of the torches will toggle at the same time. So right now, for example, if we press it, you'll notice this one turns off and this one stays off. So right now the interaction was only on top. And now if I interact with the button again, the interaction will only be at the bottom. So the torch will turn on. And now if I click on it again, it'll only be the top and on forever. So now the bottom one, now the top one, now the bottom one. So this is the type of stuff that the toggle relay is useful for and why it eats one of the signals. I'm sure it's possible to make like other types of gates and stuff, but for now, I think this is enough for the showcase. The last thing I want to show that you can do with the Arcane Relay system is little secret bases. So for example, right here, I have a secret button. And if I click on it, you'll notice that our little stash opens up. So yeah, I hope you guys have fun with Arcane Relay. Right now, there's not much on the mod, but we plan on adding more and more stuff. So hopefully you have a lot of fun. I think there's a lot that you can do, so please don't hesitate to share your creations. I want to see what you make. And yeah, thanks for watching.